Hi, hello. To this video, we're going to go through parallel and perpendicular lines or equations of lines. So I'm just going to get straight into it. I'm going to explain what parallel and perpendicular mean, and then we'll go into how we can use that within a question. So parallel lines are obviously parallel to each other like this, so they will continue on and on. They will never meet, they will never cross, because they have the same gradient, and that is the important part that we will use to help us solve the kinds of problems that you'll be asked. Nice and straightforward. Perpendicular lines are at right angles to each other, so these are our perpendicular lines. The gradients are again linked, but they're not the same, obviously, because they're not parallel. If one line has a gradient of m, so if we say this pink line would have to be m because it's positive, then the perpendicular line, so this navy blue line, has a gradient of -1 over m. So the gradient of the perpendicular line is the negative reciprocal of the original line. So to find the gradient of a perpendicular, you take the gradient and you find the negative reciprocal of it. If you wanted to check that two lines are perpendicular, you would get both of their gradients, multiply them together, and you should get -1. Okay, so they have a product of -1 when you multiply them together. And that's how you check that two lines are perpendicular. If they have the same gradient, they'd be parallel. If they multiply together to make -1, they would be perpendicular. And if they have neither of those things, then they're just two lines with different gradients. And there's nothing special about them. Okay, so let's have a look at how we use that within a question. So we have a line is parallel to the line 6x plus 3y minus 2 equals 0, and it passes through the point 0, 3. Work out the equation of the line. So we're going to use the same formula, the y minus y1 equals x minus x1 formula, to work out the equation of the line, but we need the gradient first. We have the point 0, 3, we know the point that it passes through, but we need to know the gradient, and we're going to work it out from this line that you've been given already. So we've got 6x plus 3y minus 2 is equal to 0. We need to rearrange it so it's in the form y equals mx plus c, so we can pick the gradient out of it. So I'm going to subtract the 6x and add the 2 over. So I get 3y equals -6x plus 2. And then I'm going to divide everything by 3. So I get y equals -2x plus 2 over 3. So I can quite clearly see that the gradient is -2, so I'm going to use that. So I have my m now is -2, and my point is 0, 3, and I'm going to put those two things into my formula for the equation of a line. I'm going to put them into this. Okay, so I have y minus 3 is equal to -2x minus 0. Expand and rearrange and simplify, so I get y minus 3 is -2x. It doesn't ask me for a specific form of the line, so I'm just going to leave it as y equals mx plus c. So I have y equals -2x plus 3. That is the equation of my line. Done. Really straightforward question. You just need to rearrange the line, pick out the gradient, and use that and the point in the formula to work out the equation of the line that you're interested in. Easy peasy. Okay. These two questions are working out if they are parallel or perpendicular or neither. So again, if they have the same gradient, they are parallel. If the gradients multiply together to make -1, then they are perpendicular. Or if neither of those things happen, then they're neither. They're just two different lines. So if we do A first, we have 3x minus y minus 2 equals 0. And we have x plus 3y minus 6 is equal to 0 as well. We need to rearrange them into y equals mx plus c. The first one's nice and easy. I just need to plus y over. So I have 3x minus 2 is equal to y. So the gradient of this one is 3. Nice and straightforward. This one, I'm going to subtract the x and add the 6 to keep the y positive. So I get 3y is -x plus 6. I'm then going to divide everything by 3, so I get y equals negative a third x plus 2. So my gradient is negative a third. So they're definitely not the same, so they're not parallel. If I multiply them together, 3 multiplied by negative a third, I do get negative 1. So these two lines are perpendicular. Okay, the 3 little dots just mean therefore. So 3 times negative a third is negative 1, therefore the lines are perpendicular. Easy. Right, question B. We have y equals a half x. Nice and easy. M is a half. And then I have 2x minus y plus 4 equals 0. All I need to do is plus the y over to make it in the form y equals mx plus c. Y. And then I have my gradient is 2. They're not the same, so they're definitely not parallel. If I multiply them together, a half multiplied by 2 gives me 1, not negative 1. So therefore, these two lines are neither. They're definitely not parallel because the gradients are different, and they don't multiply to make negative 1 either, so they can't be perpendicular. Okay, so those kinds of questions, again, they're pretty straightforward. As long as you can rearrange into the form y equals mx plus c and pick out the gradients, you should be able to answer those types of questions really easily. Right, the last one, I think. No, not the last one. A line is perpendicular to the line 2y minus x minus 8 equals 0 and passes through the point 5 minus 7. Find the equation of the line. So it's very similar to the parallel one we did. We need to work out what the gradient of this line is, and then we can find the perpendicular gradient and use that and this point to work out the equation of the line we're interested in. So let's start by rearranging this. So we have 2y minus x minus 8 equals 0. I'm going to add x and 8 across to keep y positive. So I get x plus 8, and then I'm going to divide by 2. So I get y is a half x plus 4. So my gradient is a half. So my perpendicular gradient, the negative reciprocal of a half is, I'm going to call it m1, is negative 2. The negative reciprocal of a half is negative 2. And now I can find the equation of the line. So I put that into the formula. Y minus y1 equals x minus x1. My point is 5 minus 7, so I have y minus 7 equals negative 2 x minus 5. Simplify, rearrange, expand, all of that fun stuff. So I have y plus 7 is equal to negative 2x plus 10. Again, it doesn't ask for a specific form of the line. Because the x is negative, it upsets me. I'm going to put it in the form ax plus by equals c plus c equals 0, just because I don't want my x to be negative. I don't like it. So I'm going to move it over, so I get 2x plus y minus the 10 from 7 gives me negative 3 equal to 0. So that is the equation of my line. You could put it as y equals mx plus c, and you'd have y equals negative 2x plus 3. But I just don't like having a negative there in front of x. It upsets me. So yeah, I've left it in the ax plus by plus c form. Yeah, again, another really straightforward question. As long as you know how to rearrange and use this formula for the equation of a line, and remember that perpendicular lines have the negative reciprocal gradient. If you remember those 3 things, then you are winning. Last question. It's not the last question, it's the same question. Okay, so this was the last question. I knew I only had 3. I put that one in twice. Yeah, so that is parallel and perpendicular lines. Really straightforward. Obviously, you're kind of building on what you've done already on equations of lines, and just adding in a few extra things to remember, really. But hopefully that makes sense and that it helps. Thank you for listening and have a lovely